That's incredible. I mean, the work you put in these short few hours.
It was worth it. It was.
Yeah,
This was a really great book.
Yeah, I remember I was checking my phone. I was like, book is like 6 stops away. Yay!
Hi, and welcome to the Liquor Connoisseur. I'm Crystal.
I'm Roger.
Today we'll be reviewing Uncle Nearest owner Fawn Weaver's new book, Love and Whiskey. It is the hidden story of Jack Daniel's and Nearest Green's enduring friendship, resilience, and the impact of giving credit where it's long overdue. It's an inspiring tale of how uncovering the past can forge new paths and how the spirit of whiskey has connected lives across generations. In addition to reviewing Love and Whiskey, we'll be tasting Jack Daniel's Old No. 7 with a mash bill of 80% corn, 12% barley, and 8% rye. And Uncle Nearest 1856, a blend of premium whiskeys 8 to 14 years old. This book took 8 years of research to make. I was going to say, tell us about the label. I'm so used to us doing it.
Well, the only thing I have to say about the label is the Jack Daniel's label has pretty much been this for a while. Although I suspect that the Uncle Nearest may have changed a little bit, slightly. I think now they have like a whiskey glass, or like kind of like in the middle here. If I notice in some of our other bottles, they have newer expressions where I'd have to show that in B-roll. But if you notice, they look a little bit different now. But this one is probably one of their older ones. We have since had a little bit of this. This is kind of one of my favorites from Tennessee, but yeah.
So we're excited to sip on those as we review Love and Whiskey. As you can see, I have tabbed it. I've got tabs for Fawn. I've got a tab for Jack Daniel's, Uncle Nearest, family. It's a good book. It's the remarkable true story of Jack Daniel, his master distiller Nearest Green, and the improbable rise of Uncle Nearest. It really weaves in the stories of Jack Daniel, Nathan Nearest Green, and Fawn Weaver in her journey in creating Uncle Nearest. So it took me about 3.5 hours to read.
I was just about to say, I want to take a moment to give you your kudos and your well due. We literally just got the book as of this recording today, this afternoon, and Crystal muscled through this book for the purpose of this video, just so that we can get this out to you guys. Comment down below if you have received a book. It's so nice. We had to buy it twice. I have
both autographed.
Oh, they're both autographed. That's nice. You know, and I can probably tell how it happened, but she broke the record, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's probably, if you have one that's signed, it's because she muscled down and did it for like 24 hours or something, something ridiculous, and broke the record. I'm going to start off and go ahead and get you a pour, because I know you're getting after it, but I'm going to get you a pour. This is 100 proof. I know you're going to enjoy it.
Yes.
I like it a lot. Oh, this is delicious.
It really is. And I'm excited. This is a different flow for us for the show. So I hope you all enjoy it, and we'll do more spirited book reviews.
Yeah, spirited book reviews. I like that. Okay. You warned me to start this, but I'm going to try it anyway.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Here we go. I got it. I think I got it.
So in this book, it weaves the story of Jack Daniel's, Uncle Nearest, and Fawn Weaver. Mm-hmm. It tells you from beginning to end her journey in creating Uncle Nearest, and her wanting to tell the story of Jack and Nearest, and which is why we're celebrating both bottles today. This story is hidden to anyone outside of Lynchburg, Tennessee, but is widely known through Lynchburg. The story of the friendship, of the work that they did together. And I'm so glad Fawn was curious and had a positive mindset to find out more about this story from the 2016 article she read in the New York Times about how it was titled something to the effect of Jack Daniel's hidden secret ingredient, a former slave, or something to that impact.
Okay.
And so she was like, this doesn't sound right. Even when you look at the picture on the cover, this is Nearest Green's son, George. And this is Jack Daniels next to him. Now, when you think about this time period, he's not supposed to be in the middle or right next to Jack Daniels. And so that was really neat to see. And again, just, hearing also some backstory of Fawn's life. In her 20s, she attempted suicide twice, but she survived. And I truly believe she is living her purpose.
Oh, yeah. By
creating this brand, telling this story, because it's fascinating. And myself wanting to own a brand, I mean, she really gets into all the details it takes to create a brand, to create a product. She leaves nothing out.
That's amazing.
So I think if you are a historian, if you're a lover of whiskey, African-American history, I mean, this is an amazing read. The book pays homage to the past while carefully crafting the present to curate the future. That's how I felt about it.
Yeah, that's nice.
So I was excited. Like I said, I got my tabs here. In the beginning of the book, it says, Uncle Nearest and Uncle Jack, thank you for choosing me as the keeper of this legacy for this leg of the race. I will hold on to this baton for dear life until it's time for me to pass it to the person assigned to the next leg of the race. I trust they'll be born on September 5th too. I thought that was really neat that she's not trying to own it per se.
Mm-hmm.
This is just her piece of it to tell to us. Because somehow Lynchburg sounds like a magical place. Where, when you start reading the book, you're like, so segregation wasn't a thing.
That's something like that.
Yeah. I mean, and, Jack Daniels and Uncle Nearest, their families played together. They knew each other. They're still apart and entwined in each other's lives. And that was just so fascinating. And to hear also, oh gosh, I marked so much in this book.
I could tell you were enjoying it because you took time out to call me and say, hey, I'm on this part right here. I found out some more cool stuff. And that part's not true. And this, I'm like, what? This is really, because we've been following this since, I don't know, since it hit shelves at least. So the beginning.
I pre-ordered this in February.
Yeah, I'm talking about the whiskey itself and then the story, not just the book, but I mean just the whiskey itself. When it came to Oklahoma, we were just like, oh, this is interesting. I have to try this out and see what it's really about here.
But it's so, when I admit, when I first heard the story of Uncle Nearest and how he was the first master distiller. He didn't help. He was the first master distiller of Jack Daniels. I was like, oh, here we go against another story where Black man's work and intellect has been appropriated by a white man. But it wasn't. That's just what we've seen so much. So that's where our mind goes. That's the story we tell ourselves. And that's not it at all. When you go through the history, you see how intertwined and connected they were. And it's just really a beautiful story of that. And so there was no exploiting of Nearest Green. He was doing what he loved. And that passed down to their families. And so that was really neat.
Before you get too far, we need to cheers.
We should.
We need to cheers because I mean that's a part of it. And I haven't had this in a long time, so cheers.
Cheers. All right. Well, first sip. That's nice. And the cool thing about the way the story is told, Fawn continues the narrative of this is not about competition. This is not about diminishing the legacy of Jack Daniels. Jack was a very great man. he supported people. A lot of people owed him debts. He loaned them money, black or white. And when he died, he erased all the debts.
Wow.
So yeah, he was generous. And I thought that was really cool that his legacy, you know, despite the times.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. And every brand has a great story, but I believe this is the greatest brand story ever told.
That's saying a lot because we have heard quite a few and researched several stories and learned a lot along the way. I mean, we're coming up on about our year, and we've really dived into pretty much everything, and this story stands out. That's amazing.
The Tory, I may have already had too much.
You may have already had too much. It is 100 proof. Yours is. I mean, mine's a little lighter.
Huh.
Yeah. I think this is right at 80.
The storytelling really weaves in their stories really well, and it transports you to that time. And the story doesn't go the way you think. In reading this and hearing Fawn's story and how the struggle she had, a lot of them to me made her the antagonist. You know, you think it's Brown Foreman, but it's the story she's telling herself. You know, how many times do we tell ourselves a story and it's not true? But you keep reading and you're like, oh, okay, some of it was true. But it was just interesting to see the journey of her and her husband through this, because they had differing views of how this would go. And it just reminded me of us, of how well they worked and how they're opposites, but they persevered and created Uncle Nearest, brought it to life for his legacy, for his family. They've done a lot of great work, and in the end have partnership with Jack Daniels for some initiatives around getting people in the industry education and providing grants. And so it really doesn't leave out a detail. It doesn't leave out a person. You're getting accounts from as many of Uncle Nearest's descendants as she could find, even some of Jack Daniels' descendants. And there's pictures. There's a whole, what I thought was really cool is that they went through the family tree of not just Uncle Nearest, but also Jack Daniels and Uncle Nearest the brand.
That's nice.
So that was really cool. They really paid tribute to everyone who was a part of this journey along the way. And even Lynchburg was a character. The city was you hear about its history. Yeah. Nothing was left out. And it just, like I said, every time you think you figured out something or you think something, there's a twist. So there are a lot of recalls that keep you intrigued and engaged, as well as just hearing this family's history and legacy, how they grew up, how they remember their patriarchs. So I really enjoyed that. I'm trying to think of some other great, I'm trying not to spoil it for y'all. It was, it was amazing. There's not a lot on Nearest though. So I have a couple of blue tabs where they talk about Nearest, but there's not a lot because, you know, even in looking at my own history, there's not a lot of history for African Americans. We can't fully trace back to the beginning. Mm-hmm. And some of it is the names have changed, the spellings of the name. Fawn goes in to talk about the census. It wasn't until after the 1900s you can really go back to now because of a couple of fires and how how they would even categorize us. Sometimes in the beginning there were no names. It was just how many people do you own? Mm-hmm. And so I thought that was interesting to see how many ways Nearest Green can be spelled. And then going through this. But I really loved how she tells the story, how she incorporated Nearest family. Victoria is the master distiller. It's one of his relatives. And so I thought that was really cool how even though she's not a part of this family, she puts them first in creating this brand.
That's great.
Yeah. But man, this is nice. So
I know you're really into. I can't speak to that one over there right now.
However,
I don't think you won't do that. It's been a while since I've had Jack. I could tell this is more. It's a little hotter it appears to be a little younger. It's got to be younger than the blend of that. But it's not as aggressive as I remember. I'll say that. I've had some bad times with some of these
back
before.
in the day.
Yeah. So it's not too bad, but this wouldn't be my go-to.
Oh man. No, this is actually you get that corn forward. I don't know the recipe, the mash bill, but it's definitely corn forward. It's not too hot. But a part of in talking about how whiskey is made, Uncle Nearest is attributed to perfecting the Lincoln County process. Now, Fawn is quick to tell you he did not create it. It was created long before he was born. But I believe 1856 is probably about the year he had perfected it.
Yeah. Be careful what you read on the internet. I don't know all the facts, but these dates have some significance. And I believe the 1856 is that time frame when they say that he perfected it. And of course, they have a bottle that represents when he retired and when he was born. So, I mean, we got at least one of those up there. A couple other expressions.
Yes.
We have some that we need to try.
And yes, we do.
Yeah.
And we also need to try out the distillery.
Yes, we're going to have to go there.
It's been amazing what they've been able to do since they've begun. And it's only been about 3-4 years since they started the brand. That distillery just looks beautiful. I can't wait to go visit. And one of the things is we know alcohol goes back to the beginning of time. And, you know, part of what they talk about is how this goes back into the slave trade. So I thought that was interesting to see that journey of how alcohol has evolved. How it used to be brewed in Africa, but with the Europeans, it became distilled. So I thought that was pretty neat facts. And oh man, just so many great things in this book to highlight and to share. To go read that.
What was really funny about this is like we're tracking the book coming, right? Like we know it's on the way. And the first thing Crystal tells me, she's like, I hope it's a page turner because I really need to get through this book so that I can have something to share with our audience. I think it'd be a really good opportunity to kind of blend the two together, do a little a book review and a spirits review. And it's more of a book review, of course. And she was like, I just hope it's a page turner. I hope it's really good because I'm not getting an audio book and I've got to really turn these pages and it's
396 pages.
396 pages. Okay, so she muscled through about 400 pages in a few hours. So there wasn't much putting it down, going to play around. But
you don't want to put it down.
You dive in.
One of the things that you do in the spirits industry, you talk about drink responsibly. You know, we always say a connoisseur knows their limit. I love what Uncle Nearest does. They don't say drink responsibly. They say drink honorably. I thought that was a good take on drink responsibly.
I like that.
So the other part that they talk about is prohibition. So prohibition in Tennessee lasted for 30 years. Not as long as Oklahoma, as we learned.
Yeah.
But during that time, Jack Daniel's actually moved the distillery, opened up a distillery in St. Louis. That didn't last too long, but they finally opened back up once Prohibition ended. But by that time, I think Nearest was about 70. But his son George was Jack Daniel's right hand after Nearest. So that was cool to see the different generations. The other thing that was interesting is they talk about historical moments. And so like the Great Depression, it didn't hit Lynchburg because the bank saw it coming. And so they were able to avoid the foreclosures and the losses taken during that time because of that. So that's why I say this is a magical place where it just sounds like everyone just loves each other, or do they?
Yeah.
Again, this book has some twists.
Or do they?
To where you're like, oh man, this just seems like Disney World. And then you're like, oh, okay. Not everything, not to everyone. But again, she talks about the Lincoln County process, how they had issues getting distribution. Probably it was because they were women. It was her and one of the other employees trying to get these deals, or not supply chain. She'd have her husband, Keith.
Really?
And they're like, oh man, you want to go for a beer? You want to go play golf?
Uh-huh.
I mean, she recounts everything. And I love the parts where they go through and you get to meet the descendants that she tracked. She traced 8 years worth of research.
Oh, that's great.
To put this together. And so it's just nice. And it flows throughout the book, how their stories are weaved in. Because you're like, didn't I just, oh, okay, now we're telling you from this point of view. And so I thought that was really great. And her connection to Jack Daniels, to Nearest, and what she's doing now, it was just fascinating. Please check it out. Please let us know what you think of Love and Whiskey. I think this book just is for everybody. It's a good way to learn about history. There's so many hidden figures, so much history forgotten within the Black culture. Even, talking about other figures, not even just in the spirits industry, but Henrietta Lacks. Her cells were taken for medical research. Things that are just now coming out to us. Even the movie Hidden Figures, which Fawn references also in the book. She was like, she left that movie and was like, do I even remember their names? She's like, I want to make sure everybody remembers Nearest. And she made a point to name it Uncle Nearest because everyone called him Nearest, even though his birth name is Nathan. Yeah. So I'm not sure if that's because of, that was his slave name and Nearest is his free name. But there's a lot to learn in this book. And Brown Forman bought Jack Daniels in the 50s or the 70s. I can't remember exactly. But they were well aware of Nearest being the first master distiller. But, with my journalism background, I say they buried the lead. And so I believe it was Clay Risen, a journalist for the New York Times, is who wrote the story that interested Fawn in knowing more about Nearest. And so it was good to see him take the story from a different angle, despite the headline. Of course, headlines sell. Oh yeah. But yeah, I thank Fawn for having that curiosity, assuming positive intent to research this and tell us about the story. I mean, while it was known in Lynchburg, it is now known around the world. And I mean, this is the true spirit of friendship, sharing of legacies. And thank you. Yeah, thanks a lot. Shining a light on this. We look for this kind of stuff. We're not only the Liquor Connoisseur, but we're just spirit nerds. Like, we just nerd out on all the special details. And some of it we let leak out on camera here with you guys, but we try to hold some of it back until we get around our fellow nerds and we're just like, oh, what about this? And this is the dessert of this for us. Anytime we get to go to a distillery, meet the distiller, the owners, and anytime somebody can put out quality work like this just gets us all bubbly and excited. And if it does the same for you, great, welcome home. If not, maybe this can get you some more interest into the space, because this is what we like. Like the most. It is. And I am in awe at the way this was written. Again, my journalism background, I'm just like, I see what you did there. The recalls, the being able to switch between present and the past. That is something that is not easy to do. And so I really appreciate how this is crafted, much like a spirit is crafted and put together well. Check you out. Yeah. Thank you. 3 points. So like I said, I enjoyed it. I hope you all enjoy it too. And
I will take my time with the book. I'm not going to rush through.
I mean, I got some notes if you
do have some
wanna
notes.
get a head start.
I'm going to make my own. I have
Got
my
some
own
tabs
book.
left.
Yeah. And go through it myself. But yeah, this has been a wonderful bottle for us.
Oh,
We actually tried this one before the 1884.
we did.
And this was out of the park to me.
I do have to say, to speak on Jack Daniels, the old number 7 is in relation to the Call Distillery. It was Old Distillery number 7.
Okay.
Call is the owner of the distillery that hired Nearest to be their master distiller. And Jack Daniels as a boy was hired on, and he really was a mentee. That's why Nearest showed him how to do this. And really, when you think of the times, it wasn't for Nearest to have his own distillery. Would he have? As Fawn said, absolutely, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, he could make it, but he couldn't sell it. And so that's really what happened is Nearest made the whiskey. He knew how, perfected it. And Jack was the PR.
Yeah.
He was like a walking billboard.
Yeah.
And so that was really neat. But
standing at 5 feet tall.
right. He was 5'2".
5'2". That's hilarious.
So, but it's a great story, true friendship, partnership, ownership.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you for all your hard work here.
Hey, as always,